Hello and welcome to the second episode of Impact Club. May peace be upon you. I'm your host, Sabah Fatima. I feel so privileged to introduce our guest today. She's a dear friend and someone I look up to. Her drive and positive energy is contagious. Anisa Salat is a portfolio manager at Shuraako, a program of One Earth Future Foundation. Shuraako works with underserved small and medium enterprise markets in the Somali region to develop a more resilient and responsible private sector. Prior to joining One Earth Future, Anisa attended Bryn Mawr College, where she earned a bachelor's degree in urban planning with a concentration in community and economic development. Anisa was born in Mogadishu, Somalia. Her family left Somalia after the civil war broke out in 1991, migrating through Djibouti, Saudi Arabia, and finally settling in Kenya in 2002. Anisa now lives in Colorado, USA, with her 10-month-old daughter and husband. Anisa, welcome, and I'm so happy to have you here. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Saba, for inviting me. And it's such a great project and undertaking you're doing. Very bold move to start a podcast. So I feel very proud of you and I'm honored to be your guest.
Thank you so much. So, tell me about you from growing up to migrating to where you are today.
Yeah. So, I had a very nomadic, journey. And true to my culture too, Somalis are said to be nomadic people too, traditionally looking for pastures from one area to the other as pastoralists. But, the Civil War really caused a lot of people to move around, looking for peaceful areas to live, better opportunities. And my family was privileged enough to be able to settle in Kenya in 2002 when I was about 10 years old, and to just start education there and really get a strong education foundation, which helped me to apply for US-based colleges through a nonprofit called Zawadi Africa, where they invest in aspiring women who are, show growth potential, leadership potential, with the hope that they will give back to the community. So I did that, and actually, fun fact, Obama's father went through that, an earlier version of that nonprofit.
Mm.
Wangari Maathai, the environmentalist, also went through that. So it's a sort of really important nonprofit investing in African leaders. So that really formed part of my identity and my drive to give back to the community. I got into Bryn Mawr College, finished my 4-year degree there, and then moved to Colorado to work with One Earth Future Foundation.
That is so inspiring to hear, knowing that from very early on you had the drive and courage to pursue something that you believed in truly, and you went after it. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
So, how did you start with Shuraako and what inspired you to pursue this journey?
Yeah, when I was about to graduate from college, I was just looking at different organizations that, speak to me on a mission level. I really was into community development, economic development, because I truly believed that to be able to overcome war and rebuild, people needed something to do. If people were economically well off, chances of resilience and growth and peaceful development was just really, achievable. If economic needs of people are taken care of, which is the most immediate need.
Yes.
And actually Shuraako fit into that perfectly. The foundation's mission essentially is, if you invest in businesses, the businesses then create jobs for individuals. Then when people have jobs and means of living, then they are more likely to keep the peace of the country and just contribute responsibly to their environment. You know how businesses have a huge impact in their environments. So that really appealed to me. And so I applied and got it, and I was happy to do that. And it's amazing to be able to get this kind of a job, contribute in home country, Somalia, so many thousands of miles away. I've gone back once to visit for work, and it was really fulfilling. So that's how I got into it, and I'm really enjoying my work.
That's profound. And at the same time, it sort of reminds you that, when we want to make a difference, we have to think long term. We need to think about the economic development.
Absolutely.
Because that is something long lasting than a meal or two.
Absolutely.
If we can make a difference in empowering someone to take care of themselves, is something more profound.
Absolutely. You're right. Instead of, there's that fable of, teach a man to fish, don't fish every time. So it's a lot of nonprofits, fall into the trap of short-term humanitarian, and there's sometimes a huge need. Like sometimes if there's you need to do short-term relief.
Yes.
But we should always think about the long-term investment in people in an honorable way that helps them work for it and feel proud of it and sustain it.
Can you share one or two stories that you can recall of Shuraako's impact on communities or families or an individual?
Yeah, so one of the most recent stories actually is what one business, a female-owned business in Somaliland, did during COVID-19. One of our investee companies called Tayo, they essentially, the business owner was very creative in responsibly responding to the COVID-19. What she did was, in order to avoid layoff on her staff, she identified the need for personal protective equipments, especially the masks. It's a tailoring business, so it was appropriate actually. So she saw that people were charging a lot for masks. She thought, okay, I can offer affordable masks, still retain my employees, pay them, and provide these affordable masks to the community. And so she organized the whole operation, pivoted her business to 90% of mask production.
Wow.
It was inspiring how she maintained her staff. And she had this delivery system where staff basically made the masks at home. People picked like delivery drivers picked it up, took it to the center before the end users were sold to the end user. So it was really inspiring story to hear. So that's one I'm really proud of, hearing female business owner.
Yes, that is inspiring, and that is it gives us hope in knowing that no matter what the circumstances, there is an opportunity for business, or there's an opportunity where there is a market for something out there, even in like times where we think, what can I do, how am I going to survive?
That's a very important lesson that you actually summarized very well, and it's just important for entrepreneurship at large and business at large. Problems are actually good news for businesses. If you really want to find a creative solution, like look for the problems and then solve that problem. That's how the best businesses are created.
Yes.
And how to succeed. You're actually right.
Yes.
It's an opportunity. Every time you see a problem, it's an opportunity.
Yes. And what were the biggest challenges that you had to face in your role doing the job that you do?
Yeah, the biggest challenges were, with Shuraako, we are spread through 4 cities, 3 cities, different cities in Somalia and Somaliland, and then here in Colorado. So that means, the geographical distance, time difference, and being able to work through all of that, in addition to the kind of product we do, where a lot of our investors are from Western countries, European and America, and the businesses are in fragile sort of informal markets. So how do you basically combine those two systems, where the Western system has developed financial tools and systems, and Somalia is in sort of informal recovery stage of development. So we're working through such a complex problem, and then we are spread out, and time difference, like Somalia is now 10 hours ahead. So it's that was really challenging, and we had to develop a strong team relationship to be able to overcome that. It's easy to misunderstand your teammates' intentions, and because just you don't see each other, email, things are lost through translation, etc. So that's one thing I would say to people that want to do international work, to watch out for, and to focus on the team connection, the team building aspect, so that those small, not small challenges, they're major challenges, but they become manageable once the team is strong and it's within the team.
So the relationships come to focus here, where if you have, great relationships, trusting relationships, those sort of drive the work forward, right?
Absolutely. Well captured. That's the key, the strong relationships.
Yes. And I know, speaking of relationships, that you recently became a mom. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's quite a journey.
So how has it impacted your life? How has motherhood played a role in the past 10 months?
Yeah. Wow. It's kids, they have their own schedules, like when it's just by you, you have a schedule, you try to do your to-do list, and you are all good to go. But then with children, it's hard to have a schedule with them, and because it's they're just children, they're trying to grow. I have this theory that the reason why children are so like demanding of attention is, they need to be picked up, to be taken to different parts of the house, outside, entertained, so that they can be able to see more things and more things, and it's funny. It's the crying is serving a need for them, the need to learn and to explore. Otherwise, if they were just quiet and they sat there and they were fine, they didn't scream, it's easy to forget. You're like, oh, you're fine, so I'm just gonna finish this thing and then before you know it, the child has not seen, was just staring at a blank wall, for hours. So it's funny, like to rationalize, like I'm learning so much through taking care of my child, and trying to see, how we all grew up, how we learned, how we explore the world. And it's just honestly, when people say children teach you a lot, it's so true. She's barely just like 10 months, and I've learned so much through the journey already. So it's very fulfilling, definitely tiring at times, but fulfilling, and you learn so much from them. For the listeners, I would just encourage them, especially women, to take it easy on themselves. Like, this is a really demanding full-time job with rearing, and if you try to hold yourself to the same standards as before in terms of home and then work and then the baby, it's just physically not possible. So
That's profound. And what are your plans for the future? When you think about future, where do you see yourself?
yeah, that's a good question. I think, for the future, I would like to continue in. I'm really passionate about people and potential, and um, in my career, I would like to keep exploring that, see how I can support teams and people to achieve, organizational goals or their personal goals, etc. I really, in my work with Shuraako, the biggest fulfillment that I have is the team dynamics. And that's why I was like, team relationship comes first. So
Mm-hmm.
usually the one that says our work, like, let's work on the team first. And so it's that I would like to continue that bringing that perspective to the world. And whether I'm with One at Future or elsewhere, really contributing on that level, the individual level, so that everyone can then contribute to the or come through on the larger goals, whether it's economic development, peace building, etc. I think when we are strong individually, then we can bring our best skill set, personality, and contribution to the work, and then our impact can even be larger that way. So I think that's where I see myself going towards in the future, more
Mm-hmm.
on uh, mentorship, leadership, people development, etc.
And I think those align with your goals, they fit right in. So I think I wish you all the best in pursuing these amazing.
Thank you, Saba. Thank you, and it's always a pleasure to work together. I'm so happy you moved close to border area, and it's been lovely getting to know you, to working with you. You're always on top of your, not to use expletives, but you're always on top of your work.
Thank you. And what lesson or advice would you like to impart to our listeners listening to you today?
Yeah, I think just for people to remember, everyone has their challenges, days where you feel out of element, and just during those days, remember there were better days and there are better days to come. It's easy to just get stuck in that moment. So just to remember that it's just a short period of time and it will pass by. So I think it's just remember that and keep remembering that, and then when the phase is over, you're back to your element and you're contributing and doing well. So that's one big thing I would just leave with people, that sometimes you have your moments, and so be patient with yourself, and it will pass.
That's again great advice. And with that um, inspiring message, we have come to the end of the episode. I want to thank you for being here. And to the listeners listening in, you can find Anisa on Facebook, and the link to which is in the description of the podcast. And you can find Shuraako also in the description box, the link to it. And Anisa, thank you so much for being here.
First, it's an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting me, and it was really fun to speak with you and to come today to your podcast.
I hope we do this again.
Yes, 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 definitely. Please call me up. You have my number. Definitely. Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. And I shall see you next week. Thank you. Bye bye.